We're going to finish up lesson 3 by talking about what to do when risk mitigation fails and when to seek legal advice. A risk management plan can be valuable in anticipating and mitigating risk, but it can also be vital when it comes to reacting to events. We can't avoid all risk, and this is best portrayed in stories like Maple Leaf Foods' response to the widespread outbreak of listeriosis in 2008. The listeriosis was linked to the company's plant in Toronto, and tragically 22 people died. Similarly, 7 people died after taking extra-strength Tylenol that had been laced with cyanide by a still unknown culprit. The BP oil spill is another good example of when prevention fails. The Volkswagen emission scandal, the same. And even now, as we're seeing what's happening in nursing homes in Canada as a result of COVID-19. We can learn from these cases where prevention fails. And some of the lessons that we've learned from Maple Leaf Foods and Johnson & Johnson are to react quickly and in a positive way. Maple Leaf Foods and Johnson & Johnson both immediately recalled their products. Another thing that they did right was they used a prominent spokesperson to tell the company's side of the story, and when appropriate, to publicly apologize. Again, Maple Leaf Foods did this quickly. They had the CEO coming out publicly and apologizing for the tragedy that occurred. Another important lesson is to explain how the problem occurred and what the company is doing to fix it. A good exemplar here is Johnson & Johnson. They obviously were the makers of Tylenol, and they came out very quickly saying that they were introducing tamper-resistant bottles. Maple Leaf Foods came out very quickly saying that it has improved its cleaning processes and its inspection systems. Another lesson would be to use appropriate messages in different media. In these messages, the company should express concern for the victims and don't argue about whether or not the organization was responsible. And then finally, it's important to be open and consistent in acknowledging the problem and the company's role in the problem. It's found that when an organization responds to an event in this way, so quickly, positively, has a prominent spokesperson, explains what the company is doing about it, using appropriate messaging, and being open and consistent can really mitigate the damages to the organization. Not only that, but it's simply the right thing to do. As part of your risk management plan, you need to consider when to seek legal advice. I would argue that they should be sought, or legal advice should be sought early in the planning process in order to help identify and assess legal risks. Lots of organizations take more of a reactive approach, and so when something happens, they immediately consult a lawyer to mitigate the damages. This isn't a bad strategy. I would argue that you need to seek them when you're developing your risk management plan, but also in a timely fashion when something does occur in the organization. It's a bit of a balancing act because consulting lawyers too soon and too often is quite expensive and quite cumbersome, but consulting them infrequently to save money may be more expensive in the long run. So you really have to find the point at which you decide that you need legal advice. How do you choose a lawyer? Again, I think that this should be part of your legal risk management plan, identifying who may be of assistance to you. But the first place to start is to look for firms or lawyers who are appropriate to the business needs in terms of expertise. What a lot of people don't understand is that most lawyers specialize in a narrow field. And so a lawyer that works with family law is not going to be appropriate for employment law. So it's important to figure out what type of expertise your business needs. One way to do this is to consult with business associates who might have similar legal problems, so other people in the industry. It is advised that you meet with lawyers or with representatives from some of the different firms that you're considering early in the process. You should discuss fee structures. Some firms work on an hourly fee basis. Some have standard fees for routine work. So registering a corporation, there might be a flat fee for that. Other organizations work on a retainer basis or on a percentage fee basis. And you should have a predetermined list of criteria when you're assessing potential legal representation. What do you think some of these criteria should be? What might you look for? As mentioned, you should look for their area of expertise. You should also consider availability, someone who understands your type of business or is willing to understand your type of business, and the willingness to communicate. So it's important to look at the structure of the law firm that you're considering. Will your work be dealt with by a junior associate? Do you require a senior level lawyer or a partner in the firm? These are all things that you should consider. So just wrapping up lesson 3B, managing legal risk requires that you assess the environment, you develop a risk management plan, you pay attention to the legal environment and react accordingly, and manage your legal services. So that's it for lesson 3. Please go back to the ACORN site and follow the instructions before starting on lesson 4. Thank you.